Now, Sri Jairam Ramesh.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Chairman, sir. We are returning to the budget debate after almost over a month. The budget has become part of history. All the criticisms have been made. All the spin has been introduced. All the political dividend that had to be got has been obtained. And we are now discussing the debate and discussing the budget. So what I would like to do today, sir, is not get into the usual game of numbers, but look at some broader aspects, the background to which the budget has been formulated, and raise 5 questions, which I hope the Finance Minister will respond to in the course of his speech. First, I'd like to talk about the economic situation. Second, I'd like to revisit demonetization. Third, I want to say a few words on black money. Fourth, I'll say something on Aadhaar, because that is the anchor for all the delivery of social programs. And fifth, I'll have some questions to raise on some philosophical underpinnings of this year's budget. First, the economic background. So I'm not going to get into a debate on whether growth is 7.1% or growth is 7%. The statisticians and the experts will discuss that. But I'm more worried about the general trend of where growth is headed. And sir, it is no exaggeration to say that growth has not accelerated. Growth has not sharply decelerated, according to the numbers, but growth is very subdued. I think this conclusion cannot be denied by anybody belonging to any political party. The UPA government, over a 10-year period, averaged a GDP growth of 7.4% per year, and we are somewhere now in the 7 to 7.5% range. What happens in the next quarter will be revealed a few weeks from now, but it would not be an exaggeration to say that the growth sentiment is subdued. So the Chinese Prime Minister, Li Keqiang, never believed the GDP numbers of China. And he had his own 3 indicators for how well or how bad China is doing. And this is now in economics called the Li Keqiang Indicators. What are these indicators? 1, railway freight. 2, bank credit. And 3, electricity consumption. These are the 3 indicators the Chinese Prime Minister uses. He doesn't believe his government's GDP numbers, but he uses these 3 indicators. So my request to the Finance Minister is to use these 3 indicators: bank credit, electricity consumption, and railway freight. If you use these 3 indicators, you get a completely different picture than what the GDP growth numbers give you. Bank credit to industry, flat. Electricity consumption, flat. And railway freight, flat. So actually, sir, the economic background to this budget is not an economy that is booming, is also not an economy that is going bankrupt, but it's an economy in which investor confidence has come down very significantly. Why do I say this, sir? For the first time in 14 years, the gross fixed capital formation has fallen. For the first time in 14 years since the year 2002, which is an index of investment. The investment rate as a proportion of GDP, which was about 34% 5 years ago, has fallen to 29%. So the sum and substance is investor sentiment is subdued. Investor sentiment is not buoyant to create growth. Now, whether the election results of UP will provide the tonic for investor sentiment, whether the passage of the GST bill or the bills will provide the tonic for the investor sentiment, time alone will tell. But I think the finance minister owes it to himself to acknowledge that today the crisis in the Indian economy is one of investor sentiment, is one of investor confidence, and there is need to restore that sentiment and restore that confidence if growth has to come back to the 7.5% to 8% trajectory that the UPA government left when it left office. So my second point is on demonetization. Now, a lot of debate has taken place, and the ruling party will undoubtedly look at the UP election results as a vindication of the demonetization drama. Sir, it's beyond doubt that demonetization was a psychological shock. It is beyond doubt that demonetization may well have been a very smart political strategy. But I still maintain that demonetization is based on spurious and dubious economic logic. There is no country in the world, barring Burma, North Korea, and a collapsing Soviet Union, that adopted demonetization as a strategy. But be that as it may, on the 8th of November, demonetization was announced, and 15.44 lakh crores of rupees was demonetized. What was the expectation that day? The expectation was that out of the 15.44 lakh crores, some 4 lakh crores will not come back to the banks. This is black money. This would be immobilized, and we can then tell the country that 4 lakh crores of black money has been destroyed. So till today, as I speak, on the 16th of March 2017, till today the finance minister has not told us how much of the 15.44 lakh crores has actually come back to the banks. In fact, there is speculation that more than 15.44 has actually come back to the banks. But be that as it may, I think the finance minister owes it to the country to tell us how much of the 15.44 lakh crores has actually come back to the banking system. So he gave some hint in his budget speech. What did he say in his budget speech? He said that roughly 1.8 lakh accounts have been opened and about 4.9 lakh crores has been deposited in these 1.8 lakh accounts. Now, he did not say whether these are individual accounts or corporate accounts, so we don't know. Now, many people have made the assumption that this money is black money. But actually, sir, we don't know. This is contested money. Notices will be issued. The income tax department will investigate. How much of this 4.9 that has come in is black? How much can be explained? So we don't know. It will take months. So as of now, we have no way of knowing how much of the 15.44 lakh crores that was demonetized on the 8th of November 2016 has actually come back to the banks. And I would request the finance minister to please give us a number which will help us to understand what is the economic impact of demonetization. So let me now turn to black money. Now, the motivation for demonetization was to curb black money. And ever since this government came to power, there has been this great propaganda that we came to power and within 1 week we set up an SIT for black money. So I would like to remind the treasury benches, and I would also like to remind the members of this House, that on the 4th of July 2011, the Supreme Court passed an order. This was a case, this was a petition made by an honorable member of the Rajya Sabha, Mr. Ram Jethmalani, and on his petition, the Supreme Court passed an order on the 4th of July 2011 that an SIT should be constituted for black money, and the Supreme Court also said it must be headed by Mr. Justice B.P. Jeevan Reddy should be the chairman, and Justice M.B. Shah should be the vice chairman. This is on the 4th of July 2011. So the government of the day, the Honorable former Prime Minister is here. The former Finance Minister is now the President of India. The government of the day took a conscious decision that fighting black money is the job of the government of India. It is the job of the Finance Ministry. It is the job of the Enforcement Directorate. It is the job of the Income Tax Department. This is an executive function, and there is no role for an SIT. This was the philosophy of the government. The government rightly said, सुनिए मेघवाल जी, सुनिए, अभी आ रहा हूं और कुछ बताऊंगा आपको, आपकी जानकारी में नहीं है क्योंकि आप नए आए हैं अभी. The government of the day said that this is an executive function and we will discharge this function of unearthing black money. So what did the government do? After the Supreme Court order, the government of the day set up a multi-agency task force, and on the 21st of May 2012, Shri Pranab Mukherjee presented a white paper on black money in the Lok Sabha. So I don't know whether Mr. Meghwal has actually seen a copy of this white paper. This is on the 21st of May. It was a 100-page white paper, the most comprehensive, most exhaustive analysis of the black money problem in India. This was presented by Mr. Pranab Mukherjee in the Lok Sabha. Now, after this black money white paper was presented, the government of the day started anti-black money operations. Now, what was the result of that? So, Mr. Arun Jaitley, the Finance Minister, and the Prime Minister have said that our government has done more to take out black money than the previous government. Before November 8, 2016, by the Finance Minister's own admission, the government of Mr. Narendra Modi had unearthed 1,25,000 crores worth of black money. This is not my number. This is a number given by the Ministry of Finance, that from the 26th of May 2014 till the 8th of November 2016, the NDA government unearthed 1,25,000 crores of black money. How much did the UPA government unearth? So it's a legitimate question to be asked, and I tried to get this information from various sources, and it was very difficult for me to get this information. But finally, sir, I discovered the best source, which is a parliament question. A parliament question was asked in the Lok Sabha on the 28th of November 2014. UPA was not in power. NDA was in power. Mohammad Badriddoza Khan asked this question, unstarred question number 1068, and he asked how much black money has been unearthed in the previous 2 years. The previous 2 years was the UPA government. Mr. Jayant Sinha, the Minister of State for Finance, replied, and I will place this reply on the table of the House. I will give a copy to the Finance Minister. According to this Parliament question, answer, given by Mr. Jayant Sinha, the UPA government unearthed 1,31,000 crores of black money in the last 2 years. By the same definition which Mr. Arun Jaitley is using, by the same definition that the NDA government is using, it unearthed pre-demonetization. I'm not talking of demonetization, pre-demonetization. Because history begins only on November 8th, according to you. So pre-November 8th, 1,25,000 crores of black money was unearthed by you. And according to your own Minister of State for Finance, former now, but then Minister of State for Finance, in the last 2 years of the UPA government, 1,31,000 crores of black money was unearthed. Please look at the answer. Please look at the answer. Please see the answer. And please don't haul Mr. Jayant Sinha up again for giving this answer, because he has given the facts. These facts bring out the truth, that contrary to what the propaganda that has been put out, that we came and suddenly we unearthed all the black money, is simply going contrary to facts. The last 2 years of the UPA government unearthed more black money. This is the post-white paper, after the SIT. Now I'll come to the SIT. So on May 1st, 2014, May 1st, 2014, remember elections are on. May 1st, 2014, the Supreme Court passes an order saying Justice M.B. Shah should be appointed chairman of the SIT, and government is given 3 weeks to constitute this SIT. On the 16th of May, the results come out. The UPA government is an outgoing government. On the 23rd of May, by which time the NDA government has come, the NDA government requests the Supreme Court, give us 1 week more and we will set up an SIT. So why am I saying all this? Because every time the Finance Minister and the Prime Minister speak, they say, हम आए और एक हफ्ते के अंदर हमने SIT का फॉर्म हमने SIT का we formed the SIT. You converted a virtue, you converted a necessity into a virtue. आप पर दबाव था, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा था, एक हफ्ते के अंदर आप करिए, आप कर नहीं पाए. सर आप सुनिए, जब ये तथ्य निकलते आते हैं ना, तो बड़ा अनकंफर्टेबल होता है. So this was the propaganda, that we came and we set up the SIT. So they had no option but to set up the SIT, because the Supreme Court had given them less than 1 week to do so. However, I agree that there was a difference between the UPA and the NDA. The UPA said unearthing black money is the job of the government. The NDA said it is the job of the SIT. That's a genuine difference of opinion. In a democracy, differences of opinion exist. And I believe the government of the day was right in 2011 and in 2012 to say that the job of the Enforcement Directorate, the job of the DRI, the job of the Income Tax Department, if the SIT is going to do all this, then all these departments might as well be closed and the Finance Ministry can go on a holiday. So I think there is need for bringing some balance into this debate. It is not as if the previous government did not unearth black money. It's not as if the previous government did not take the issue of black money seriously. It did, and it had better results than the pre-demonetization results of the NDA. What the demonetization results are, as I said, we still do not know. So let me now come to Aadhaar, which is my fourth point. Because much has been made about Aadhaar. And Aadhaar is going to be the anchor for the delivery of all social welfare programs. So I welcome this. it was Dr. Manmohan Singh's government that started the Aadhaar initiative, and it is Mr. Narendra Modi's government which is taking it forward. And that's the way good programs should always be looked at. One government starts something, the successor government continues with it. I'm also very happy that finally the Prime Minister has seen the writing on the wall and expanded the allocation for the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, which he some months ago claimed was a monument to incompetence of the Congress party. I'm glad that he's changed his views. And not only has he changed his views on Narega, but he's also changed his views on GST. Because we know what his views on GST were when he was Chief Minister of Gujarat. Now, of course, he thinks that GST is answer to all of India's economic problems. So sometimes, it's better late than never. So on Aadhaar, as I said, the previous government started the Aadhaar. This government is taking it forward. But sir, I'm very worried at the manner in which the Aadhaar initiative is being implemented. Now, why do I say this? Sir, there are a series of Supreme Court judgments. On the 11th of August, 2015, 11th of August 2015, the Supreme Court said that Aadhaar will be used only for PDS and only for distribution of LPG and kerosene. This is a Supreme Court order. Aadhaar will not be made mandatory, Aadhaar will be voluntary, and it will be used only for distribution of food grains, and it would be used for distribution of kerosene and LPG. So, then, that was 11th of August 2015. On the 15th of October 2015, the Supreme Court gave a second order which said that in addition to PDS, schemes like Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, National Social Assistance Program, old age pensions, widow pensions, disability pensions, Prime Minister's Jan Dhan Yojana, and Employees Provident Fund Organization can also use Aadhaar. Second Supreme Court order expands the programs, but still Aadhaar is not mandatory, Aadhaar is voluntary. There is a third Supreme Court order. So how many Supreme Court orders is this government going to violate? This is a third Supreme Court order which comes out on the 14th of September 2016, which directs the government to remove Aadhaar number as a mandatory condition. On the 14th of September 2016, it asks the government to remove Aadhaar as a mandatory condition for number of schemes like the scholarship scheme. So the short point is, Aadhaar was meant for the delivery of social welfare programs. Aadhaar was meant to eliminate fake and duplicate identity. But what has happened in the last couple of months is that Aadhaar has kept on expanding. And unfortunately, the Minister for Human Resource Development is not here. It is a gross travesty. It is criminal, in fact, to say, as this government has said, I'm glad he has come back, that Aadhaar will be used for midday meal program also. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. And it is only after there was a furor that, one second, no, sir, no, I am not yielding. Sir, I am not yielding. I am not yielding. Sir, I am not yielding. I am not yielding. Sir, I am not yielding. I am not yielding. I am not yielding. Sir, I am not yielding. I am not yielding. So, I am sorry, sir. I am not yielding. He can say whatever he has to say after I finish. Sir, it was grossly criminal. It was criminal.
He is clarifying a
No,
point.
sir. No, I'm not yielding, sir. It's my right. I'm not yielding.
Running commentary, sir, you should stop it.
I'm not yielding.
Yes, yes, proceed.
Sir, it was a criminal on the part of the government to say that 140 million school children who are fed daily are going to be fed only if they produce an Aadhaar number. I mean, this is absolutely amazing. It's a complete mockery of the entire Aadhaar scheme. It's only when there was a furor from political parties that the HRD minister said it's voluntary. You can have alternative means of identification. That is what he wanted to say when he got up. And I have said it on his behalf. But, sir, the mindset is somewhere else. The mindset is somewhere else. You want to make Aadhaar mandatory for everything. Midday meal, PDS, railway booking, air booking, opening a bank account. I mean, sir, Aadhaar, let us not forget. What is Aadhaar? It's a unique identified number. It is meant to eliminate fake identity. It is meant to eliminate duplicates. And in the PDS, quantity fraud is more serious than identity fraud. Please, Mr. Raja, please, let me finish. In the case of PDS, quantity fraud is more serious than identity fraud. Aadhaar number does not deal with quantity fraud. It deals only with identity fraud. So the Parliament, this House, passed the Aadhaar bill with amendments. It went to the other House. Naturally, because it was a money bill, that was rejected. And I still believe that the Aadhaar Act that was finally notified requires some modification to make it absolutely clear that Aadhaar is not mandatory, it is voluntary, and that Aadhaar is going to be used in a calibrated manner for ensuring fake identity and duplicate identity does not lead to wastage in subsidy programs, in pension programs, in scholarship programs, and in the distribution of food grains. I think we should return to the original conception of Aadhaar and not look at Aadhaar as a complete answer to all of India's problems. So my final point. So this budget is based on certain assumptions. Now, one of the assumptions that this budget has been based on is that we will transfer 42% of all the tax revenues to the states, and the states will start investing more in education, in health, in nutrition, and so on. So, I welcome this. It is no great favor that this government has done, because this was a recommendation of the 14th Finance Commission that 42% should be given to the states. There was a minority opinion that it should be 38%, but this government adopted the 42% recommendation, and it has been generally welcomed that states should get more money. But what has this government done simultaneously? They give 42% in one pocket, but through the other pocket, they have changed all the sharing norms. 60-40 now. What was 75-25 has become 60-40. So West Bengal, Shugendra Babu, West Bengal is getting 42% in one route. But for many other programs like health and education, instead of bearing 25%, you are now bearing 40%. Sir, what has happened as a result of this 42%, which I wholeheartedly welcome, is that states are spending more money to give more money back to the center. This is what is happening. States have not increased their expenditure. Dr. C.P. Thakur is a member of the Standing Committee on Health. He is a very distinguished health professional himself. He knows the discussions that have happened. States like Jharkhand, even states like Maharashtra, advanced states, have not increased their expenditure or investment in social sectors. What has happened is they've got more money, but simultaneously the government has either changed the 75-25 to 60-40 or has abolished some schemes altogether, like the Backward Regions Grant Fund. 17 out of 24 districts in Jharkhand, 18 out of 30 districts in Orissa, 3 districts in Bengal, 18 districts in Chhattisgarh, getting money for infrastructure. That whole program is abolished. States are bound to pick up the slack. So please, as a result of this 42%, please revisit this. And please make sure, my request to the Home Minister, to the Finance Minister is that please make sure that the objective of 42% is actually being met, which is states spend more on education, states spend more on health, states spend more on nutrition, without necessarily getting into repaying the center more by changing of this formula, as I have said for many programs, from 75-25 to 60-40. Similarly, sir, plan, non-plan distinction has been abolished. So this debate took place when Dr. Manmohan Singh was the Deputy Chairman of the Planning Commission. This debate took place when Dr. Manmohan Singh was Finance Minister. This debate took place when Dr. Manmohan Singh was Prime Minister. So it's been going on, but finally, plan, non-plan distinction has been abolished. It has been welcomed generally, but there are some serious consequences of this. And one of the consequences of this, as Comrade Rajya has pointed out, and some weeks ago, Dr. Narendra Jadhav himself pointed out, he is a distinguished nominated member of the Rajya Sabha, he himself pointed out that a consequence of the abolition of plan and non-plan is scheduled caste plan and tribal sub-plan is completely finished. Now, the Narendra Jadhav guidelines, when Dr. Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister, Narendra Jadhav headed a committee which said 16.2% of all plan allocation would be for scheduled castes and 8.6% of all allocations should be for scheduled tribes. Now, what has happened? There must be an alternative system put in place. The whole idea of the scheduled caste plan, the whole idea of the tribal sub-plan is to earmark funds for specific activities. In this case, scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. And sir, I'm afraid to say that however welcome the abolition of the distinction between plan and non-plan is, one unfortunate consequence of this is the complete debasement of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe sub-plan, and I request the Finance Minister to revisit and find an alternative way of ensuring and earmarking the allocations for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. So there are some other points as far as the budget is concerned, which I don't want to get into in some detail because, as I've said, the time for criticizing the budget is over. We're now discussing the budget in a calm and reasoned manner. My final point would be that to the Finance Minister, because he is, after all, sir, he is the master of spin. So this time for spin is over. And the time for looking at hard reality is now. The hard reality is that the economy is subdued, investment sentiment is subdued, investor sentiment is subdued, and I think he should address some of the structural issues of the economy rather than claiming great victory on the budget as exemplified by the election results. I do not believe that the election results in any way negate the conclusion that demonetization may have been a smart political move, but has been a singularly disastrous economic move. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.